Hey, fourth graders. So today you're going to be watching a video getting you ready for our live math instruction this morning. And we're getting ready for long division. So let's get to this. Today I'm going to go over a page in your book with you to go over some vocabulary, to review some ideas that I think you probably know a little bit, and to show you some symbols, signs, and then when we're together this morning, we will actually be practicing the beginning stages of long division. So I'm in my regular math book, the thick math book. I'm on page 99. Let me write that up at the top here for you guys. So please go ahead and follow along if you'd like. Page 99. And this whole page, there is no work for you to do on it, but it's just a really great resource. And it's got great vocabulary and reminders of how division is the inverse of multiplication, meaning it's the opposite. We've been saying this for so long together. So I hope this will start to come together and make sense, and let's do it. All right. So first, we're just going to actually start with division vocabulary and models. So three words that you're going to start hearing more as we dive into division: divisor, quotient, and dividend. Now, this beginning does make a lot of sense. It says, although multiplication and division are inverse operations, each operation has its own language. Very true. So let's look at these examples that are going across and look at what we call the numbers and the answers. So this equation, 3 times 4. We know that these two numbers are called factors. Those are the numbers we multiply together to get our product. This is our total or our answer. Okay, so now here is a small long division problem. We would read this 12 divided by 4. So we start with the product, we start with the total. See, that's still the product. You can see where it is compared to multiplication. And the factors are on the outside of the division symbol, right? So you can see factors are pointing to those two numbers. Okay, these are multiplication words, factors and products, right? So I could highlight those if I'd like. Factors, product, factors, product. Now moving over, these are division words. So again, you have the same division problem, 12 divided by 4. So when we're talking in the division world, this is called the divisor. So it's not a factor anymore. It's called a divisor, right? Over here, this is the quotient. And then, of course, the dividend, which is like the product in multiplication, but it's the dividend when we're talking division. So this is really what we should be highlighting. Multiplication words and division words, okay? So you can kind of compare where they are, but you can also see how similar they are, okay? So some words you're going to start to hear. Let's go down. The models for multiplication and division are the same models. You are still going to be using arrays, rows and columns, and area models in division, just as we have for multiplication. Okay, so you can see here, this is a really nice way to look at it. Okay, these are the three. So let's divide this up. Different ways for you to look at it. So if you're using an array, 12 bottles on a table. We could say if we're using division, we'll start with the total amount, right? The product, or we could say the dividend. 12 divided by 3, right? Because here we have 3. Or we can say 3 times what? So here we're missing that number, right? We have a quotient and a divisor that are missing when we're doing multiplication, when we're doing, or excuse me, gosh, I'm mixing it all up, aren't I? When we're doing division, we are missing the divisor right here. So I'm kind of looking up here. There's that divisor. So 12 divided into groups of 3, then we're saying, well, how many are in each group? There are 4, right? And then if we're thinking about it in multiplication, then we're missing a factor. So 3 times, so here's our 3. This is like that array, fast fact, right? This is a 3, it's a 4. So 3 times 4 again is the missing factor in multiplication to make 12. Okay, same thing. These are exactly the same, but they're just now closing up the array. So they're making the rows and columns tighter together. And then of course to the area model, which really is just closing it up. And so now you're doing your sides and your area because that's your total, right? And so this would all be 4 that were in here. Okay, so please remember multiplication and division, we're still going to be using the same models to do both, and they're very helpful. All right, let's keep moving down, 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 down. All right, now I know you've heard of remainders before. Remainders are leftovers, and today that's going to be one of our focuses. We're going to look at simple division that have remainders, leftovers. So sometimes when you divide, some are left over. The leftover amount is called the remainder. Okay, here's a nice example. If you have 14 juice boxes arranged in groups of 3, how many juice boxes will be left over? So here you have a nice picture. There are 14 juice boxes arranged in groups of 3. So here you can see, here's your groups of 3, right? 1, 2, 3 groups, and 4 groups. So here are the groups of 3. We have to see how many groups are there. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. There were 2 left over. They couldn't make a group of 3. So these are called remainders. Those are the leftovers, right? And here it is written out in division. There's your total, right? That's your dividend. 14 divided by 3 because we had groups of 3. We wanted to see how many would go into that. It was 4 groups with 2 left over. And here's how we show it. We put the 4 up here. 4 times 3 is 12. We subtract to see what's left over, and we put it up here next to it, the 4. 4 remainder 2. So 2 are left over, 2 is the remainder. This down here says compare the divisor and the remainder. The remainder must be less than the divisor. That's just saying this right here, the remainder needs to be less than the divisor. Because if you have more in your remainder, well, then you couldn't actually make another group, right? If I had 4 remainder, 4 leftover juice boxes, well, I could make another group. I could make a 5th group and then have 1 left over. So your remainder always must be less than the divisor. That's the number going into it, okay? So it says 2 is less than 3. 2 is less than 3. So the remainder is correct. Okay? And here's another way. This is just to check. Remember, with multiplication and division being the opposite, being the inverse, you can always do it to check, and then we add the remainder. So we can multiply 4 times 3. So here it is, 4 times 3. That makes 12, right? This is a 4 by 3, right? So that means the area, the total, is 12. And then we add the remainder. So how many left over? So we got 12 plus the 2 leftovers. It should equal our dividend, right? That total amount. And it does. 14 juice boxes, 14 total. So it works. All right, so this is what we're going to start doing together in Math Live this morning. So just kind of look at this page, page 99, see what you think, have any questions ready, and I will see you all soon.